Here it is.
So what you're looking at there is the north arrow is pointing towards Ridge Avenue, or Ridge Avenue. And down by the 1936 would be the curve in the road, the sharp curve. The access is shown off to the left in a separate box there in an enlarged view. So the box to the left is an enlarged view showing the access off of Ridge Avenue, coming down through the lot and then accessing the roadway. And it shows the temporary grading and temporary stormwater facilities necessary to accommodate that. The original note, after discussing this as the construction access for the development, the original note said that they would utilize it until the roadway base paving is placed. And our concern is that that's not long enough, or we would identify to you that there's considerable materials that come in and out after that point. And in the case of Heatherwoods, the majority of the soil removed, and this site also has excess soil, does not have a future phase, so there's no place to put the excess, so it will have to leave. And any materials to construct dwellings, and the building materials, the sidewalk, and the other things would come in after the fact. So I think you need to consider how long that needs to stay in place, and the notation currently on the plan did not seem like it provided adequate protection from the existing development roadways. The other thing is, once you determine when that switch is hit and they're allowed to build on that lot and give up that temporary access, what route are they required to use at that point and minimize the potential impact to existing residents in Ridgeview? And I would suggest they go out the top road here and get out to Ridge Avenue and not proceed through Ridgeview. So also limiting impact to internal development roadway. Summarizing that whole thing, it means there needs to be an agreement acceptable to the developer and the township. So that doesn't need to be resolved tonight, but when an applicant says to you, we want to keep our project moving, we need action, that's the type of agreement that people need to identify. The two parties need to come together, Tom needs to develop it, or their attorney needs to develop it, and all the terms agreed to in terms of, and as outlined in the letter, the issues are how long must they use the temporary, what's the next route once the temporary is given up, what is their obligation if the existing roadway is damaged following the switchover, and also what is the implication if the other roadways are damaged because they fail to follow their construction signage and intended routing. As occurred at Heatherwoods, it was a constant fight, battle. Fight's not the word, discussion, and even with the developer working with us, I believe the developer was as frustrated as the township was in terms of restricting access and ensuring it was restricted to the intended path. So I would advise the township that you have to be satisfied with all those angles on that agreement to ensure when there is damage, the roads will be videoed, and when there is damage, who's responsible for addressing it. But the first step is to minimize the damage, because nobody wants to be fixing it. And we can't guarantee that the Ridge Avenue won't have impacts from all the materials coming in.
Responsible for that too.
But it's easier to fix Ridge Avenue than it is to fix an internal development roadway in terms of width and cross-section, convenience and interruption to residents and you name it. So that'll be something I guess you can ponder in the time being. Streetlight spacing, just want to really quick, the prior manager was, accreditation engineer was recommending, and I guess he coordinated with the board and others, to try to downsize infrastructure to the extent possible. One of those was street lighting, and is it really necessary to have it to the extent that it is in certain developments? Heatherwoods was a case where it was scaled back per discussion at the time of approvals, and kind of limited to lighting at intersections and maybe long stretches of roadway, but not every two dwellings and another street light. Some of that theory was that while it is a street light tax program, the lights are to be maintained by PP&L, there is a cost, and PP&L has not been great at replacing lighting in terms of the post or fixing leaning ones, or they're delaminating or they're fiberglass. So the theory that was discussed at that time was less is better maybe, but you have other people in resident developments that feel lighting is a safety issue and they want it. You have others that want less lighting and say, why do I have a street light in front of my dwelling? So once again, this is really not an engineering item. We put it on the letter, but in the end, an answer and guidance. So give it some consideration, and you can drive through Heatherwoods at night. I think they've activated the lights in phase 3, or not yet.
They should have.
They should have, yeah.
It was requested by my office back in June of last year. So PP&L
So you can check out Heatherwoods, you can check out Stony Point and some others, you can check out Carriage Hill existing, and that's the other situation here. You are in an existing development and going through a new.
Right.
Sometimes you may want to maintain consistency in that case, and some of, but I think the planning commission, after some discussion, generally supported increased spacing and less lighting, but
Right now, we're matching what is out in Carriage Hill existing,
it's approximately, if you go
about
through,
every 2 lots.
yeah, about every 170, 180, maybe 220 feet, maybe slightly more in some rare instances, but gives you a sense. You can drive through that development, and ultimately that will be an answer for the board.
The design will ultimately go to PP&L and it had to be approved by the township.
Right.
Morgan Share, is that the old style then too?
I'd have to think that out.
Yeah.
Well, how was the old design, I believe?
I know Ridgeview was the old design.
I would think anything prior was, PP&L was putting them in pretty consistent spacing, you'd have to
Morgan
be
Share,
small.
because they're big lots. No, these are.
Well, how there were 4 counts too.
Yeah, I think they took out every 4-5 house and put all in. Okay.
Will Hollow has a different style, I will acknowledge that, has a different style fixture. You have a higher, taller fixture, a more vertical. This would be a more traditional fixture that PP&L has. I don't know that the others are really necessary to get into here. There was the discussion about the grading to the rear of 2 lots. I don't know, Casey, if you can get to those. But the planning commission requested, there's an eroded channel that exists, and it really doesn't have a real purpose.
How big the existing contours are on this?
Yeah, but the planning commission has indicated that they want it addressed, so I think the applicant heard that, and that would be a recommendation. I doubt it would be lots 3 and 4 and 5.
Correct.
Yeah, 4 and 5, and really be about 80 feet behind the rear of the dwelling. And it was a channel that developed over the time and really will not have substantial flow to it. And our sense is it's just going to be a problem for Tony and the township at some point. Somebody will say, why is there a ditch in my yard that goes to my neighbor, and it doesn't seem to have a purpose. We understand the applicant doesn't want to disturb any more than he has to, but that is, I think, something for you to consider.
Yeah, it is in some trees, brush areas, so getting to it is not as easy as just pushing the dirt down. There will have to be some trees taken to get in there. Hopefully they can be strategic about that, and they heard the planning commission's recommendation on that, so we'll show that to be revised with our plan revisions.
Yeah, and then the maintenance of the carbon and geology, just be aware that this site's got a little bit of everything. It's got steep slopes, it's got fill that was manipulated back in the turkey farm day, and then manipulated again when the development occurred. And various other uses and stockpiling of things. So there are concerns, it's not consistent natural material, so as the roads are being built, there will have to be care to make sure materials are removed and appropriate structural fill placed. That's all being addressed in the review and the plan notation, so that shouldn't be a problem, but it's something to be aware of. The left-hand portion of the site, called the western, I guess it's the western portion, is carbonate geology, so the site does have certain areas that are not underlain by carbonate geology, karst geology, but the basin area, that western portion is, so you have, like in many developments in East Cocalico, you have, in that area, you have potential for sinkholes and limestone and karst features, so there are notation on there. The review identifies the need to have notation on the plan identifying the existence of karst geology and potential risks associated with it. So you can look into that in more detail and look at the review to identify the notation. It was notation that was mimicked from Wabash Landing because of the unique aspects of that development karst features. The last thing then would be where the temporary cul-de-sac is and its removal. Temporary cul-de-sac is just past the two tot lots, if you're familiar with where they are. So once that's removed, the section of roadway from the prior intersection to the end of the tot lots is township roadway, but you would have no way of turning around if you were to plow that. So we'll have some discussions. I don't know what your recommendations would be, whether it's to see if the developer will plow that section when they're plowing their roadways, or whether the township has the ability to, and they're guaranteed that they can go in and go around the loop, but aren't burdened with any liability or risks associated with traveling through undedicated roadways through a construction area. So in the case of Heatherwoods, I think it was agreed that the developer would, I'd have to look, I think the developer agreed to plow that section of roadway. So we can look into that.
So it's only a few houses there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah, and road crew, it depends your road crew too, and who's in charge, and if they're willing to back, some are very reluctant to back out of a situation like that, and you really can't have a temporary, we did it in Heatherwood, we had a temporary turnaround as long as we could, so you could just hammerhead it and get out, and that worked very effectively, and then it was converted over, and now I think the developer plows through the whole thing and takes over that section, so. You can think about that. That's it, unless you want to talk anything else about the development, but the last review you have is rather lengthy. They have subsequently resubmitted. A lot of those items have been addressed by the submission, but a lot of the things we talked about tonight make up a lot of the additional comments, and they're intertwined, and they're not going to go away until the board makes formal decisions on those items. So, unless there's addition to all the way we're good, would be to table the plan for the evening. Unless you had any other questions while both of us are here.
Yeah, I think we have some marching orders here, so
Yeah.
we'll get working on that.
I know the concern of the single lot, and hearing you guys, I'll relay that to Landmark. Maybe something that they want to come in and have that discussion with the three of you gentlemen.
Yep.
Because I think that's a sizable impact to them and how they need to move forward. It's their desire to keep it as a private lot, but I heard what you have to say, and I will relay that.
That's why I agree. I think one thing to do, give them an opportunity, give you an opportunity, and have additional discussion on that item. And like I said, there's other things that we can work on in the meantime. So come back and bring those back here and coordinate in order.
Thank you for the opportunity and the feedback.
If there's anything else in the review, I'd be glad to answer any of those questions on the side or send me an email and clarify. But just in general, You look at the development, it's a continuation of an existing one, it seems relatively simple, but when you start diving into the details, it has challenges, and they're workable. They've occurred elsewhere, and this one, they'd have to be layered on top of each other a little bit, so just want to talk it through and make sure the board's making educated decisions. Motion to table.
Cocalico Community. Motion.
Motion to table the Tarrant Trail plan.
I'll second that, I'll make that motion.
I can't wait till-
Yeah, yeah, I'll make that motion. The Cocalico Community Church stormwater.
Well, no, we gotta do this motion first, the table.
Motion, we'll table this one.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
No, that's like, we'll need another time extension in light of, you need to go to one more planning commission meeting, so,
Okay.
the current deadline for action is
June
27th, so the planning, so
Yeah.
submit that, and we'll deal with that in the future. We'll
Okay.
deal with that at the next board meeting.
Okay.
The 27th is a board meeting, right? Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, good evening, thank you, everyone.
Next one's Cocalico Community Church. Really simple, they want to make some stormwater conveyance improvements on their property. Really doesn't affect anybody downstream. The ultimate, it's to resolve some drainage concerns. Water comes off of 897, and due to the elevation and the curvature of the roadway, it crosses the roadway. It's not a crown section where the water stays on the high side. It crosses. It has some negative impacts against their building, and it doesn't seem like PennDOT wants to resolve the issue on the other side of the road and push it somewhere else, so they're taking their own measures to protect their own facilities and installing some stormwater facilities, to get away from that side of the church and around and discharge to the backside, so. And they own considerable property from that point downstream, so there should be no impacts with concentrated discharge, so. That was handled through a small project application to Tony, so the motion would be to authorize the board of supervisors to sign the stormwater management and easement agreement related to the Cocalico Community Church stormwater management small project application as prepared by the township solicitor when executed by the applicant and submitted to the township.
And I'll make that motion. I'll second that motion. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
That was it.
Thank you, Brad.
Yep, thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
There. Where? Yeah.
Okay, past meeting minute approval, Thursday, May 21st, 2020, Board of Supervisor minutes. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? Okay, motion to approve the Thursday, May 21st, Board of Supervisor meeting minutes as presented. Any addition or corrections? I'll make the motion. I'll second it. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Police Department Chief.
Good evening. I will have my full report at the next meeting. I think it's important to take a few minutes to discuss what is going on in the, basically the country as a whole, and explain East Cocalico Township Police Department's training and that type of thing. So if I may, we all agree that the incident regarding George Floyd was a very tragic incident, should never happen. And as a police chief and a human being, I have to condemn the actions by the officers involved. The video was upsetting to many people, including myself and my staff. It's been discussed, and it is not something that is condoned in any way, shape, or form. And I want to express that the East Cocalico Township Police Department has always considered training to be a major and very important part of our department. We train yearly on use of force, and we have a tremendous use of force instructor in Detective Keith Neff. He utilizes I guess it's what they consider a jiu-jitsu studio just outside the area, and we will take 2 or 3 officers for a day and review our policies. They'll go through scenarios, and he is very well versed from his training in the use of force. So we have a tremendous asset there, and we take it serious. And sure, it costs a little bit of overtime, but it's worth it every year that we do it. So I can say that the training is ongoing. And in conjunction with that, we also are currently in the process, and have been for months now, in updating our standard operating procedure and our policy manual. So we had both, and we're utilizing a company called Lexipol. It's a national company, and we have had many meetings with one of their representatives, their phone meetings where we're interacting also on the computer. We're going through each policy, and we are bringing those policies to current standards. And actually, each policy has a little header to it that reflects federal, state, or local laws, and what is acceptable, and what their attorneys have gone over, and what they feel is the best practice for a police department. And what they do is they take Pennsylvania law and adapt what they have to conform to that. So this is, like I said, it's an ongoing process. We've been doing it for quite a while. We have not issued the new use of force policy. I am very comfortable with our current use of force policy, and we are just going to tweak that and include it in with new language and those type of things in the new use of force policy. That's a priority. We put out 5 policies on June 1st to get the officers acclimated with the system, which has gone very well. It's very easy to use. Each officer reviews the policy, clicks a button or an icon on it that says they accept and acknowledge that policy, or they acknowledge that policy, and then we have a recorded thing. When we're done implementing the entire thing, there's an ongoing training feature which we will be utilizing, where policies will be either updated or reviewed, or just reviewed in reference to no updates to them, where the officers will have to read them and they will have to answer a question or two regarding it. So it is a tremendous tool that we're using. So we're aware of the ongoing changes. In fact, they just pushed out a Pennsylvania policy update in regards to a number of things, I think it was a month ago. So then it automatically changes things. When that would occur, those are going to be the things that are going to be brought up in that weekly or monthly review, where the officers are going to become familiar with it. So again, training, policies, it's always been important long before I became chief, and it will remain that way. We also, have taken a stance for a very long time that no matter how long you've been here, if you see something that needs to stop or change, you are expected to do that. That's been reiterated to the officers in person and also by email, to say that I expect the officers to step in no matter what, and we cannot have the same situation by any means where people stand around and watch. That's unacceptable. So it's an ongoing thing, and we have an upcoming department meeting, because I think it's important to have that, where all these things will be discussed again. So the continual training will always happen here. So I don't know if anyone has any questions in regards to that, or...
Well, I guess I echo your thoughts for the most part. What's happened is just, it's a different world than what we grew up in, unfortunately, in a lot of ways. You know, I guess through social media, there's talk that demonstrations will be coming to smaller communities other than the cities. You know, in one of the neighboring communities, there's talk of something like that this weekend. You know, if something like that comes even closer to home here in East Cocalico, you know, are you prepared to deal with the consequences that arise from those situations?
And we had a lengthy chiefs meeting just the other day where things were discussed, and we were able to hear how well the city has done, how well Lancaster City has done with these, and just hearing that information from their chief, from their captains, it's kind of an ongoing thing, but they have found that many in their community are pointing out people that don't belong there. Or when I say that are coming in to incite them. We are available, you know, to assist other agencies, and we will continue to do that, and I'm comfortable with the fact that other agencies will be able to assist us if necessary. The Pennsylvania State Police has helped out down in the city. But again, the community has been tremendous from everything I've heard down in Lancaster City and several other areas. And regarding the community, I was going to bring it up, but we have a phenomenal relationship with our community, and it's ongoing. And just today, we had 3 different families bring things in for the office. We had one family bring in pizza and a large thing of salad, and another family who they couldn't get the softball fundraiser subs delivered because of something that happened down in King of Prussia in reference to power outage or something, and all of her co-workers said don't eat it. So she brought a huge amount of subs and other items to the department, and then we had a young man deliver little care bags with candy, and then 2 others, well no, they were with the pizza, they delivered the pizza. And you can find it on our Facebook and our gratitude in reference to that, but what we want to do is continue that relationship with the community. And I think through training and through, you know, continual reminders and policy updates and those type of things that we will do that. I'm sure we will.
I guess what I'm hearing you say is for the surrounding communities, if there becomes a sincere need for extra manpower, everybody chips in and helps.
Absolutely.
Helps make that happen. Well, that, from my perspective, that's comforting to see everybody working together in that way.
There's a unique relationship, and I'm sure it's in other counties, but I'm familiar with Lancaster County because I'm part of it. There is a very unique dynamic in Lancaster County where the chiefs speak frequently, and especially with COVID going on and now this, that we're constantly updating each other and aware of what they feel or what they hear or what they know is going on. So, you know, I'm pretty comfortable in that.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. You know, you see these things happening in cities and other communities around the country, and you always wonder, well, what if?
Correct.
What if you're dealing with it right here at your back door? And, you know, it's comforting to know that you guys are on top of it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Another thing that occurred just the other night, I'm losing track of my days, either Monday or Tuesday night, was the parade for the graduation. And that was something that was phenomenal. I knew the community would be involved, but I don't want to say I was surprised because I really wasn't surprised. I knew it was going to be tremendous. But between the school district, the busing of the students, and all the parents and families that lined the parade route, even the other drivers that had to pull over up 272, were all participating in their way. So again, it shows the type of community we have, and the thank yous we got from that were tremendous too, so. So I think that's all my report for that.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I'm very happy to have you as our chief, Jim.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, does a very good job.
I guess, Chad, the fire companies were part of that as well.
That is correct.
Do you have any insight on how that went too, or?
That, I would reiterate what he said, it was phenomenal. It was a huge outpouring from the communities, from all the small communities there.
Yeah.
It was quite an undertaking, but it was pulled off very good.
You want to add anything, Scott?
No, it's done it well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, zoning officer, Tony.
Yes, as usual, everybody, I'll give you a full report at the next meeting. And I can jump right over and give you a brief synopsis of the road crew. Road master report, a couple of things they've been involved in, they've been busy. The frequent thunderstorms aren't making it any easier, but anyway, they finally, the road crew has finally gotten caught up with mowing township roads and township properties, parks and things, so they're in pretty good shape on cutting grass and doing all that good stuff. The new mower is working out well, they're all getting used to it, and don't have any issues. They were out in the last 2 weeks again, up on Mones Hill Road and all the other roads in the township, cleaning swales, getting debris out of the swales in anticipation for these gully washers that we've been having. In addition to that, they've been out to a lot of the roadways that we have bridges on and getting down underneath the bridges and alongside the bridges, cleaning out debris that's been flowing down in these heavy storms. Whether it takes by hand with shovel and whatnot and rakes, or even with the backhoe, pulling out some of the big debris. One of the ones, and you know, not too long ago, we were out on Lakeside Drive, and they cut swales on the high side of Lakeside Drive to try and handle the amount of volume that comes down off of that hillside behind some homes and out towards the road. It was overtopping the road because it's an old, pretty flat road, so there is no crown to it, so when it would fill up on the high side, it would easily flow over to the other side of the road and flood out several of the properties on the downside. So they were out again to check those out, make sure that those roadside swales are functioning correctly, which they are, they're holding some volume. But at the end of Lakeside, before it gets to 897, there is a culvert that goes from one side of the road to the other. They were out there this past week with the backhoe. That one had a lot of debris in it, and they worked the better part of the day on that one alone. So I got some feedback from the residents there. They were very happy to see that we can come out once and forget them. And we're constantly getting feedback from the residents on the performance there. The no trespass signs for the property out of the shed. 4 signs has completed them. I will pick them up tomorrow, get those to the road crew and get those posted. Okay, so we have the property posted just to be safe. Other than that, they've also been here, as you see, across the street at Hill Road. We have an issue with a large farm across the road. A lot of sediment, water come off that road in these heavy storms. Ken and myself have attended a meeting next week with the property owners, the gentleman who takes care of the property owners' properties. Last year we discussed with that property owner and with the gentleman who was in charge of his properties about putting in a bermed area to help retain some of that water on the low spot of that field and have it constructed in such a way to hold back enough volume that there will be a spillway or some sort of a release point, but when it gets to Hill Road, it'll stay in the gully, go through some riprap stone that they just installed the other day, and filter out as much of that sediment as possible before it gets in the inlets. So we have that meeting set up for next week to really get an idea. We'll include Brennan and also to help with some sort of design characteristics to appropriately manage. There's a lot of acreage there. The other issue is the manner in which the farmer who's farming that field and how he's cutting it, grading it, doing all that. We've got some ideas for him to possibly go no-till, something else, maybe plant some hay, some weed.
Yeah, I'll help you follow up with that as well.
Yeah,
You know, we've documented a lot of silt leaving the property and, you know, a change of practices there can make it clear water coming off rather than silt infested.
yeah.
So, yeah, I'll help you follow up with that.
We appreciate that. We would encourage your participation on
Yeah.
that. Other than that, like I said, it's just a matter of keeping them busy. Now, they were out yesterday. We had, from what I heard, 4 trees down in the area across certain roads. They were out there cutting and cleaning them up. Hopefully, we don't have that tonight, but whatever it takes, they're on top of it. Okay?
Yeah, that was an ugly front.
It was over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
by the time it passed western P, or eastern PA and hit into New Jersey, I was moving at 90 miles an hour. That's what they measured.
So, and if anything happens tonight, and the chief, your gentlemen, give us a call, we'll get out there and handle it, okay? Whatever you need. Other than that, the only other thing, and I think you have in your packets, gentlemen, Dan got some quotes, one of the road crew, got some quotes concerning signage and some material signposts and things that are desperately needed to replace here in the township. I did ask Dan, you know, some of the components that are needed, like the breakaway posts and things like that, you know, basically a 2-inch square tube that's got a lot of holes punched in it. I just recommended, I said, hey, is it possible that we might be able to get some of those things locally, saving some delivery time and some delivery costs and all that. And Dan did research it, but we have a PennDOT spec on these things, you know, and there is a breakaway point, so we've got to be careful with that. So with that said, you just can't duplicate it down at the hardware store. Now, he did get some quotes, and price-wise, roughly, and you can see it in the email, roughly $1,688. You know, there will be some upcharges for some different reflectivity and all that stuff. But anyway, what we're looking for is the supervisors to approve them purchasing just what we need at this point. We're not going overboard with changing signs that don't need to be changed. Okay? Some of these are damaged, some of them aren't. Some of them, their reflectivity doesn't meet code. Eventually, they're going to have to be changed. But at this point in time, we're just giving you what we seriously need.
So those are the boundary signs, the welcome East Cocalico.
No, these are, well, you name it, it's got all different types of road signs on it. In fact, oh, let's see on this, I think you guys have that earlier.
No, I didn't get a copy of that. That's what, I'm sorry, Andy, I didn't get a copy of that. That's not that. Thanks, Joe.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
You can go down the list as roughly
Oh, okay, gosh.
some chevrons, some left
Yep.
turns, right turns, you know, all that kind of thing there.
Got it.
So
Yeah,
what
that's
they made
right.
out of what reflective.
Replacing signs that were run over Broadway.
Correct, yeah.
So PC's original quote was $2,678, and we did ask him if, you know, all of those were needed, and I think he did drop it down
Correct.
to, what, $1,688 or something.
Correct,
So,
yes. Yeah, it was, yeah, just shy
that
of
must
3,000.
have,
1688
Roughly, yeah.
You got it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the wish of the board?
These are necessities, they're not extras.
Yeah, so motion be approved the purchase of signs, posts, and hardware at not to exceed the price of $1,700.
I didn't know if he wanted to go the full gamut or just what he has it narrowed down to. So that's why I left that price empty. What's the wish of the board?
So the excess is just adding to supply, I guess, so he's got them there for the
Correct.
future.
Correct.
They'll get used.
Yeah, they're gonna go, this is a necessity item.
So if you want to
So
do
why
the
not just replace them and have that
Do you want to do
inventory there?
2678.50 then?
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Okay, I'll revise my
Great.
motion to make the price for $2,678.50.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those no, motion carried.
Great, thank you all.
They gotta replace the sign on the spot, Tony, we don't wanna be waiting and then.
Well, that's the issue, you know. The sign isn't there, you have an accident because of it, could be a liability issue, and, you know,
Yep.
everybody knows the lawyer today. Thank you, I'll pass that along to Dan, and we'll get this stuff ordered. And Mr. Carrasco, you reminded me of one thing, the East Cocalico Township signs, local to East Cocalico.
Oh, yeah, they were doing a count on that, yeah.
Correct. In fact,
There's no rush, I mean, there's no rush.
That's my fault, I should have asked him about it before the meeting, but I'll
Oh,
check on it
no,
tomorrow.
no, no worries, I mean,
We'll get those numbers.
yeah.
Okay? Anything else, gentlemen?
Awesome, name?
Fast Lane.
Oh, Faust Lane, I'm sorry, yes. Faust Lane. We had a complaint from a resident on Faust Lane saying that grass was growing up between the curb and the edge of the roadway. Now, I think we're all familiar with Faust Lane, it's one of the older roads in the township. You know, it's not necessarily too bad a shape, but it is not on the list for resurfacing or tar and chip or any of that. So the question was, as our road crew go out there and do some, you know, crack sealing and that type of thing, I broached this subject with Dan, who, you know, knows more about this than I do. He said, well, based on the time of year, we usually do crack sealing at a certain period of time where they heat this stuff up, it gets down, it's cool the temperature, it sets, and we don't have any problems. Now that it's hotter, that type of process is greatly manipulated. The tar won't dry as quickly and set as quickly and all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, the other thing is, we have plenty of roadways in the township that do have some grass and some debris growing up between the curb face and the roadway. To have that all cleaned out and filled and whatnot can be done, but are we wasting time and money? This may be a road that, you know, a tar and chip would solve that problem, because they go through, they prepare it, and they do it. But again, this is not on our list. It's something to bring to the board's attention, whether we want to look at that and actually physically look at it and see what you think, how bad it is, and we may have to possibly look into doing that. Now, Faust, the only other one right next door to that would be a similar situation, would be Keeler. Faust and Keeler come right off of East Church Street. If you're coming from Riviera Pizza, Faust and Keeler are on your left, right across from the fire hall. Those are the ones to look at. Okay? I don't need an answer from you now, but I wanted to make you aware of it.
So you want, we'll circle back with you then, take a look.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think,
The last item is the 2020 road project, we tabled project number 2. You gentlemen wanted to look at that to decide if you wanted to do it or not?
And I apologize, I own that one because I did not get a chance to call Tony and run out there and look at it. I promise I'll get that done next week.
Okay.
So next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we obligated on a timeline?
Well,
to
in our
address
time,
it?
because we gotta get a resolution done, and that's gotta go to the state, for the projects we did accept, so I guess I can do a resolution for the 2 projects that we did accept and have that on.
Well, I didn't want to move forward with that. I don't know, Alan, what was your?
Which one, Rose Hill?
Yes.
No, I think we can postpone it to next year.
I think there's another year there. I'd like to wait and see though.
No, if that's how the two of you feel, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to,
Yeah.
I was leaning in your direction, I just couldn't, I wanted to physically go out there one more time and see it with Tony.
They had crack sealed that. I think, you know, the Band-Aids are in place. You know, I still, I'll refer back to that resident there. He was well versed in
So we
road
could
technology.
just put that on the top of the list, Penny,
For
right?
next year.
For
Yeah.
next year,
Yeah, I agree.
right?
I agree.
So in the next meeting, we'll adopt a resolution for the 2 projects that we did agree to then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
think we have to keep
Yeah,
it,
yeah, I'm okay with that, yeah.
I think we have to keep it moving.
Okay. List of bills.
One of the downsides of the sides of masks is fogging of glasses. Chief, is there technology out there to solve that?
You gotta pinch the nose.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I pinch and all I have is a sore nose, I don't know. Okay, list of bills. And this is general fund. We have a total of $23,155.62. We have traffic impact fund of $1,243.75. For,
Look it over. It's actually on your motion, the total is on your motion for you, add it up, sir.
yes, I'm still fogged up. This Pollock.
I know what you're talking about.
It's one of those kind of nights. Yes, okay. And here is the total for payment amount of $185,227.21. The traffic impact fund is, as I said, $1,243.75. And the general fund was $183,983.46. It was a little backwards, but those are the numbers.
You got it.
You make a motion.
And I make a motion to approve the list of bills.
I'll second it. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. No, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you for your patience too. At times. Old business. MS4 discussion.
Yes, I've been busy getting the annual inspections that we need to do for this Cocalico Township. Sent out letters to the EMP, the basin, et cetera, owners, and also to the private landowners where there are outfalls that need to be inspected that require going across private property to get to them. So I've sent out, I don't know, somewhere around 70 letters, and been busy getting those inspections done as people contact me. So that's basically where we're at.
Okay. Thank you,
Been
Ken.
busy.
Any questions of Ken?
One thing I may add is, it's tough for Ken to send out 40, 50, 60 letters and then fit all those appointments into so many hours and so many days and so many weeks. That's a challenge right now. We've got a lot of facilities to look at, and just trying to schedule them is a challenge. But we'll get through it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Joe.
So, Mr. Chairman, items B through F are tabled.
Okay. Emergency service new radio discussion update.
So before you have the latest quote, Mr. Aki did provide an update to the quote. It has, last quote was back in February 6th that he gave us, and prices have gone up by approximately $2,000. So you can take over, Mr. Aki, but they're asking for 12 radios at a cost of $34,000.38.
Yes,
And I think you guys did already approve the radios at a previous meeting. What I'm concerned about is that the cost of the township to purchase those radios is going to continually rise as we come out of this situation we're in now. I think there's going to be a lot of impact on our economy, I believe. And I know you approved them to purchase sometime prior to the end of 2020. I'm just recommending, I think it would be time that we purchase at all you can see fit so that we stave off any future escalations in costs to those radios.
so that'd be 12 radios at $34,038.
Yeah, I think that increase since the past, I don't have the old quote with me, but I believe that was 32. I think it's around a $1,200 increase at this point.
My wish has been very clear since the very beginning. It's unacceptable that you've got dead spots in those radios, and Chief, I wanted those purchased back from minute one. Because the liability associated with any of your guys or any of our residents or a visitor, if you guys hit a dead spot, no way. They need to be purchased immediately. And I appreciate what you said on the, in the meeting on the 16th. You and Penny, in terms of, you were trying to find a way that it would be okay to postpone this for a little while, but I'm glad you're coming to us now.
And do understand that once we have the approval to order the radios take approximately 6 to 8 weeks.
Right, the lead times.
To
yeah.
get in, and the billing will not be liable for any upfront down payments on those radios prior to delivery. So if we order tonight, it's still probably about a 2-month delivery date. So it will be up probably getting really close to August until we see those radios.
Right, no, I remember you had said it was about 6 to 8 weeks lead time. No, I believe, I make a motion that we absolutely purchase these immediately. Or I should say, excuse me, Chief purchases those immediately and go through.
And these radios, you'll be able to, it'll cover the whole township.
Right, and that was, actually Alan's bringing up a good point, just so we're clear. You're now comfortable and our other chiefs are now comfortable. You guys have tested them because that's what we were waiting for. You're now comfortable.
Yeah, we tested all radios, and what we believe is a really good radio with all the technology we need, and the service, I believe, is the same on all radios out there. With the exception of the ones that we have now, which were bought through the county at a very, very low cost. The quality of the radio just wasn't there, but it was an entry-level radio to get everybody up onto the new system.
I'm just curious, what happens when you transition to the new radios with the old ones? You just pitch them, or do they
No, we're going to maintain those old radios for fireground operations. Just very similar to the police department, I think it's being pushed more and more that every one of our personnel on a fireground now have a radio. The biggest reason being that all the radios have a Mayday button. So if any one of our personnel get in trouble, they hit that button, it opens that mic up, locks up the radio for about 10 seconds, and that individual can say anything he can or has to say in that 10 seconds to help us get to him. And I think the same thing is on all the officers' radios. So that's an important feature today, in today's world, that person's protected. The guy that doesn't have a radio and he gets in trouble, we may not find him in time. We will find him, but in time.
So you're still using those older ones?
We will utilize them, but fireground only, so we're only talking about being able to reach, a couple hundred feet or a couple hundred yards versus miles.
Okay, thank you.
What do you see the lifespan of the new radio now? 10, 15. It's really going to depend on our county and what our county continues to do. I mean, your county commissioners are the driving force of what we're having to do now. So I think it depends a lot on them and the technology, the new technology that comes out. I believe that the radios we are purchasing and also the radios that the chief has purchased on the police side, they have the technology and the software in them to update many, many more upgrades. So I do see the longevity's there, but it's much like cell phones and anything else. If something really new comes out and they like it, unfortunately, we're going to be jumping ship. but I'm guessing a 10 to 15 year range would be a good guess from me. So you're thinking there's a base unit there that could be updated with future upgrades without a problem?
Definitely.
Yeah, well, that would be a big plus.
I mean, the platform they're on is a P25 digital platform out of the county. So the whole system is now digital. Just about everything they want to do and they want to update is a computer software change. So there's a lot of growth within the system.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried.
To extend the conference for 15 minutes, press 1. To turn off the music, press 1.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
What's the next big
Who was the second
item,
one? I
Paulus?
apologize.
What's your next?
Our next big item, I believe, is gonna be
Who
our
seconded
SC.
that motion? I'm sorry.
You
Sorry,
did,
Scott.
I did.
You did,
Scott.
I didn't catch that, thank you.
SCBA, which is the air packs we utilize. They're probably due now, so within the next year or two. That expenditure, I believe you're looking at about, for round figures, we're looking at, we have 40 packs in East Cocalico, and they're gonna run roughly $7,500 per unit. So 280 to 300,000 is what you're looking at, or we're looking at.
Yeah, but weren't you gonna use relief money on that?
Well, what we will, but relief money only goes so far too. We're only getting 70,000. That's been buying 12 to 13 sets a year annually at 50 to 60,000. And we just bought $40,000 worth of pagers with that money. We were considering buying these radios that you just were kindly purchased for us, and did not have enough money left in that account after we buy all the safety equipment that we're buying with that account to afford to buy these radios. So
I think this is one of those items we've discussed in the past, that Penny, you have in your working group, and one of the things that I've brought up before, which is, it'd be nice to see from each of the fire departments a list of your inventory, Scott. You and I have talked about this.
yeah, that would be through the relief, I believe. The
Right.
inventory
It's-
you want?
Yeah, a list of the inventory, including end of life, where this material's at, where you guys think you're gonna need to start replacing things, so we can start making some strategic plans, right? You know, including EOL, engineering terms, end of life, right? For applicable life for your apparatus. When does that apparatus need to be replaced?
Yeah, which
When does,
I think that's been supplied to you several times. I think you just got to at some point sit down and read the information.
no, I agree. Yeah, we've
Because
got.
you have that laid out on a 10-year plan, a 15, 20, and I believe a 25-year plan.
Right.
That was all part of our looking at becoming a emergency department a couple of years ago. We did tons of research on that, and it laid us out 25 years, I believe.
Right, and that data, yes, and I remember we talked about that, and that's the data that, you know, we really need to sit down in this working group.
Yeah.
Look at that data and update that data, so that we can start to look at what are the 5-10-year projections over, what do you guys need in terms of funding? How do you need that funding, right? So,
Well, I did send an email out to these, I think everybody got it, hope to start these meetings up in July again, what's like the 15th or something, the selection?
22nd, I believe.
22nd? Okay, so.
yeah, it's a good comment from Scott, it's a good leeway into we really need to start because of COVID and losing.
Well, we
losing
have it
Elizabeth.
slated to start then, so
We need to start
we'll
those
see where we're at.
Yeah, we have to stay on top of it. We have to partner on this. We have to be a team because if we're not, we're never gonna keep ahead of the funding to provide our community the services that we're providing now.
Yeah.
Correct.
Not a one of us can do it alone.
No. Yeah, agreed.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chief.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm gonna go home
Stick
and
around.
ready for the next storm,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay, new business. Cocalico Township Municipal Pavilion.
So I guess that's, when are we gonna open up the public, when are we gonna start holding meetings again, when's the public gonna be allowed at meetings? I guess we're still following the guidelines to what CDC says, as far as social distancing and spacing and, if we're limited to a certain number of people, do we keep going live on YouTube like this? thought we talked about it here.
Right, so you had mentioned that before,